Hi, I'm Nick Palmisano, and this is the Bad News Network. My God, it's bright in here. There, that's better. While touring South Africa on a charity event this week, the Governator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, was dropkicked. As seen from many videos, a man sprinted across a basketball court, jumped into the air, and dropkicked him. However, the Governator barely moved, thinking in fact someone had jostled into him. Gravity then took over and the would-be T-1000 then found himself on the receiving end of some pain. Arnold later tweeted, "I'm just glad it didn't interrupt my Snapchat," which is pretty much the most baller thing that you could say. Admittedly, he's a total badass, but he needed to have better security here. That just as easily could have been a gun or a knife or a man that didn't hit with the power of a 7-year-old. For his part, Schwarzenegger said he stayed calm by going back to his room and listening to some classical music. When a reporter asked if it would be Mozart, Schwarzenegger replied, "It will be Bach." Theresa May is stepping down from her position as UK Prime Minister and relinquishing control of the leadership of the Conservative Party on 7 June. This comes at the tail end of May trying and failing 3 times to negotiate a Brexit deal that doesn't crush the UK with the European Union. The current person leading the way to replace her in the polls is Brexit hardliner Boris Johnson. Johnson looks like what would happen if Barney Rubble and Sloth from the Goonies had a kid. After initially banning all US companies from working with Huawei, a Chinese telecom company, President Trump has eased those sanctions after a significant drop in share price of many US companies, including Google. The language that the Chinese company used in response to the US ban is very interesting, and it portends poorly for the war that is to come in the next decade. The firm's CEO actually said that a fight with the United States was inevitable, as the United States would have to move to protect its interests. The reason for the move by the president in the first place is that Huawei is being accused of planting chips that actually data mine any phones using their technology. This should surprise no one, as China doesn't really believe in pesky things like intellectual property or, rights. But a separation is not as simple as it would have been even 2 decades ago. China and the United States are inextricably intertwined as multinational corporations continue to garner more and more power. We're going to have to make a call pretty soon about whether we're willing to take a brutal but temporary financial hit to our markets and our country, or whether we're going to continue to allow China to exert an unnecessary amount of control. In recent years, Chinese firms have purchased almost all of the major Hollywood studios, they're investing heavily in our farms, and they already outright own most of the technological manufacturers. I'm a huge proponent of free markets, but China is putting a gray area into the idea of free markets, as they're not acting in any way as an honest broker. Outsourcing is great for consumer pricing and for the bottom line of many firms. Internationally, it makes a lot of sense. However, with China playing the long game towards global dominance and the United States being their chief competitor, can we really afford them to have this kind of control over our propaganda, our food, and our technology? That's the question this generation is going to have to ask itself. We're currently in a position to really hurt Chinese capabilities by cutting ties with these firms. But will that even be an option in 10 years?
Move over, Corey Hart. Studies suggest that not only is it cool for people to wear sunglasses at night, but it also prevents blue light from computers and tablets from getting into your eyes and disrupting your sleep. After just 1 week of study, scientists reported that blocking blue light and screen abstinence before you sleep resulted in waking up 20 minutes earlier and getting better sleep in general. Additional benefits include reduced symptoms of fatigue, better concentration, and a better mood. I'm not just wearing these sunglasses to point out the release of Raindrop's new generation of sunglasses that hit the site June 1st. I just really care about your ability to concentrate.
I need to ask you, when will all the senseless killing stop? When will all the pointless violence and unnecessary deaths finally come to an end? Honestly, people, it doesn't look like it's ever going to stop. Because on Monday, a flamingo was euthanized after a crappy little kid from an elementary school threw a rock at it. Oddly enough, the rock only broke the flamingo's leg, which apparently is enough to put a flamingo down, which kind of threw us for a loop because we thought that you only did that to animals like Seabiscuit or whatever. Did Seabiscuit get put down? A majestic creature cut down in his prime by a snot-nosed, drooling, Kool-Aid-filled 8-year-old. The Flamingo had no name, but we've decided to call him Jed. Jed, we salute you. Our boy Harambe will be waiting for you at the pearly gates. Also, flamingos are only pink because of the brine shrimp that they eat. When they're born, they're actually gray. Also, this kid sucks.
Memorial Day weekend. A time to get together with friends and family enjoying the American tradition of meat eating. But before you fire up that grill, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Food Safety, and Inspection Service just recalled 62,000 pounds of raw beef. The questionable but likely still very delicious giant quantities of beef have been shipped nationwide from Aurora, Illinois, the place we only know thanks to Wayne's World. Be on the lookout for steak, ribs, and brisket that have EST 788 on the USDA mark. Or you could be like me and eat it, get sick, and blame it on the side salad. Either way, party on, dudes.
Keith Grenier is going down, pun intended, for running a secret sex cult of 17,000 people. So, you know, not that secret. Apparently, unlike Fight Club, sex club's first and second rules were routinely broken. Grenier basically had henchwomen like Smallville actress Allison Mack that would go amongst the 17,000 and recruit prime women into his inner sanctum. His lawyer, Mark Agnifilio, feels that Grenier is simply misunderstood. Grenier's mission, he stated, was to teach other people how to truly be happy by boning him. If there's one thing that this whole crazy cult thing teaches us, is that we are stupid, and at best, are fancy monkeys. And at worst, are undersexed fancy monkeys that will essentially believe anything, so we feel like we're needed. Serial killer Bobby Joe Long was put to death this week with his 2 remaining survivors watching on. Lisa Noland, one of his survivors, is now a deputy in the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. She closed the event with a poignant quote that I will now read. God has shown me that the only way to really be free when someone bestows injustice against you is complete forgiveness. My life changed forever and for the better. I chose not to remain a victim. I chose to live. That was really moving. Sorry, back to the show. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania set out to determine whether Americans have become more prejudiced under a Trump administration. The results surprised even them. Quite to the contrary of their expectations, they found that all Americans, but white men in particular, have become less prejudiced in general terms under a Trump presidency. Their theory about these results is that while some of his incendiary and racially motivated speech has galvanized small groups of people that already moved towards white supremacy, most people have been forced to ask themselves what they really believe and whether or not they want to be aligned with that kind of thought, and as a result have moved away from being prejudiced. Here's to hoping.
Talking about multitasking. In Florida news, a woman was arrested on Wednesday after performing sexual acts on the driver of the vehicle she was riding shotgun in. But wait, this said multitasking. Yeah, it sure does. In true Florida fashion, Rhonda Copenhofer, 55, of Fort Pierce, was also drinking Bud Light and smoking crack while performing the sexual acts. That's 3 amazing Florida things happening all at once. One hell of a trifecta. Deputies were alerted to the incident when the driver of the truck failed to stop at a red light. He told officers he was unable to stop at the time because his pants were down. Way to be honest, guy. The driver of the truck was charged with nothing, actually, except for having a good time. Rhonda, on the other hand, was charged with cocaine possession, possession of drug equipment, and tampering with or destroying physical evidence.
We're not going to end this week with Florida news. Instead, I want to take this moment to wish all of you a happy Memorial Day. A lot of people aren't sure how to act on Memorial Day. Others don't spend any time thinking about it at all, and still others believe that it has to be a somber event. Yet none of the guys that I know that we've lost during the endless war would want people sitting around on this weekend feeling sorry for them. Please have an amazing weekend with your friends and family. If you're a veteran, please tell some amazing, fun stories about those that we've lost. Let people know who they were and what they stood for. If you're not a veteran, look up some of the fallen on the internet. Really dive deep and read what their friends and family had to say about them. And then relay that information to your friends and family. Think for a moment about what they gave up and why they did it, and be thankful for a moment that people such as they were born. If their memory remains, they will never truly be gone. And with that, I'm Nick Palmisciano, and this is the Bad News Network. Our news is at least as bad as the news you're getting already, and you know what? Have a great Memorial Day.